Hello, hello, everyone. Okay, today, Stephanie Zima here, by the way, for all of you people that are new to me. I am Stephanie Zima. I am a life and success coach for online entrepreneurs. If you hear my dogs barking in the background, please don't even worry about it. They are like little prima donnas, and for some reason, they are feeling like they need to have constant attention. And I have them downstairs in the crate right now because there's birthday stuff going on, there's cakes, there's all this stuff. So I need to make sure that they are put away. However, they are prima donnas. They need to be having, eyeballs on me somehow every single day. It's so crazy to me. But anyway, this is perfect because the topic of today's video is I feel like I'm drowning in responsibilities. And if you are tuned into me, you're probably somewhat similar to me. You are probably somebody that is having an online business. You are trying to make this work, maybe because you also need to catch up on your retirement. Maybe you also want to have some extra income so that you can pay for the extracurricular activities of your children. Maybe you have career dreams. Maybe you are trying to get back into a career. Maybe you are in real estate because you need that flexibility, because you're a mom that juggles all these things and makes everything happen for everybody, right? And when we have this mental load, then we can feel very often that we are drowning in responsibilities, and it feels like we are never going to make headway anywhere. And that is how I felt for a long time. I felt like I wasn't able to get anywhere. I mean, I exhausted myself trying, right? I exhausted myself trying. And if I would have not been so stubborn, right, that German in me still comes through. If I would have not been so stubborn, I probably would have quit a long time ago, and I would have not continued to press forward and learn these skills that I needed to learn and figure out how to be in control and in charge of my schedule and my day to days, right? Because when you look at what I all juggle, and I don't talk about it enough, but I am practically a single mom of three. I have a house, I have dogs, I have a cat, I have a full-time employment, I have my business. So everybody's in travel sports of some sort. So there's a lot of scheduling. There's a lot of stuff that's happening all over the place that needs to be coordinated. And yes, sometimes I look like I don't have it all together when I come somewhere and I look like I'm like flying into the room. But when you realize what I've done that day already, when you start thinking and really looking behind the curtain a little bit, you start realizing I have a lot of stuff together. Like I've been reworking my content. I've been probably working already 3 hours on content creation, video recordings, taking a piece of content and multi-purposing and slicing and dicing and doing a bunch of stuff to my business to make sure that I have all the angles covered all over the place. And there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you are not seeing that I am doing and that I usually don't talk about so much because I really, this is like one area that I really need to grow. I need to be tooting my own horn a lot more. But see, when you grow up with narcissistic people in your family and people that really don't want you to shine all the time, when you have like whether or not it's not just growing up but husbands and people in your life, it's really tough to shine the light on you and celebrate all the things that you did great, because you're so focused on making sure everybody else is feeling great, and you're so focused on making sure everybody else is taken care of, and you are completely, other than complaining, maybe you are not paying attention to yourself. And this is what I've done for a long time. When I was faced with this, everything was just getting too much. I started connecting through complaints. I started to hope that other people would give me what I needed, right? A helping hand, maybe take over a complete section of my life, or maybe just be there and say, "You've got this. I'm so proud of you." Like, words of wisdom and words of encouragement were just checking in with me, right? So that did never happen. And a lot of times I did feel like I was drowning until I started to become selfish, right? I needed to become selfish. I needed to be so selfish with my time that I even told my children, not now. You cannot come into my room between this time and this time. And it took me a lot of strength. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a lot of strength to make that happen because I am somebody that is my identity was somebody that was readily available for everybody. And every single time I wasn't going to be readily available for somebody, I had this excruciating fear that I would be dismissed, that they wouldn't like me anymore, and that they would be abandoning me, right? And it would trigger my abandonment wounds. And so that is why I was doing all these things. And when I learned to overcome that part, I completely became so selfish with my own time that I literally even told my kids, not now, right? And this is my time in the morning. I'm fiercely protecting this. I am fiercely protecting certain chunks of my day. Of course, I am still me. I am still readily available for people that now are in my circle, right? I have become also ruthless in cutting people out of my circles back and forth because I started realizing the people that are not necessarily wanting me to win and feeling good while winning, right? And that's a big difference because people can maybe clap for you and say you're doing great and you're supposed to be doing all the stuff and they are saying it, but then they put like little rocks inside of your path, right? So in my home, this is how it came about. And I'm sharing this so you can like look at your home and figure out maybe if you're similar, right? So people that were not necessarily on my timeline and wanting to respect my energy levels and the way how I worked, right? As an introvert, like I had to figure out who am I first? Who am I? What is making me happy? What is making me exhausted? Where are all these moving pieces, right? And then from there, I started realizing I'm like, okay, if my home is not organized, it's taking me so much energy trying to move from A to B, trying to get the kids out the door, trying to get everybody in the car, trying to move in transition in between activities. It was taking me so much energy. And every single time my energy dipped, two things would happen. Number one, I ended up eating, right? I was overeating because and I still am at some point. It's a really hard habit to break. So overeating was one of the go-tos, and I started really zoning into this, trying to figure out, okay, why am I overeating? What is really going on? I fixed my gut health. I fixed my health. So there was no nutrition deficiency. There was no more candida happening. But at the same time, I was still doing it, and it was a habit. It was just a habit, and I zoned in even closer, and I observed, and I worked with it, and I started healing with it, and I started realizing that I was doing it to there again two ways, right? I was doing it once because I needed that extra boost of energy to get me through the next because I was so exhausted by this stuff that was all over the place and everything that was going on. So I needed that boost of energy. And then the second was to reward myself. I started eating to reward myself, just to say to myself, hey, you did a great job. Now, once you recognize, where your patterns are, once you start recognizing what is exhausting you, that's when you can start becoming ruthless with what you need to cut out, what you need to have more of, right? So I cut out, like I replaced one habit with the other. So I was trying to not overeat anymore, but here's what I noticed. I noticed I was getting so exhausted. So I did something that would give me more energy in that, right? So you can either go for a walk or you can take an energy drink. Don't take those nasty energy drinks. If you need one, let me know. I have a clean one that I can give you, but something like that, or go for a walk or take a quick nap or do something that recharges your energy. So that was number one. And then number two was to really figure out, wait a minute, I need a different way to reward myself. And the way how I rewarded myself was by literally cutting out all the people that were draining me, right? That is what solved the problem that I felt like I needed to reward myself for being who I am, right? I took all the people that were not on my page. I took them and I said good riddance. I'm not mad at them. That's some people just are not meant to be in your life for a lifetime, and some people are, and some people are there for a period of time, and I love all those people from afar. And that is all, like, I'm not pounding on anyone, and I want you to hear that, because this is something that you may need to do too in your family. You may have people in your family that you may not vibe with at this moment, okay? And what happens in the future, that is a different story. But at this moment, you need to do what you need to do for yourself. So when you start realizing that, so I didn't need to reward myself anymore, because I ended up taking care of the drain. Okay, so I closed the drain. Nothing else was coming out anymore. Now I could focus on the second other thing, that was what fuels me more, right? In order to not drown anymore, you have to plug that drain, and then you need to figure out what is going to pour in. How can I swim on the top? See, because you have to imagine you are like in this bathtub, so to speak, on the bottom, right? And it's the drain is almost like dragging you out. But so in order to not be sucked down the drain, first close it, and then you've got to figure out how to pour water in so you can start rising to the top. And that is what the other thing was that I needed to do in order to stop feeling like I was drowning. I had to fuel myself with the good things. I fueled myself with good friends, with good supporters, with good support, positive mental constant energy. And if you don't have anybody like a mentor that can give that to you, somebody that can lift you up, right? Please feel free to check out the Freedom Mentorship. Of course, I want you to be in there. But if you don't have that, you can also, and this is one of the things that I needed to do, because I didn't have anybody that was doing that for me. So I had to also become the one that did it for myself. And I listened to mentors on YouTube. I was constantly blasting the gym motivations, right? Over and over and over and over. And I still do it. Every single time I feel bad, I immediately go back to my tapes and I listen to it, because the environment and everything that's coming into your brain, into your consciousness, that is where you get fueled, right? Where you get lifted up, where you get confirmed in what is going on for you, right? It's where your focus goes, your energy goes, right? So if you focus on the drain sucking you down, if you focus on everything is tiring and exhausting and you're down to the dumps, that's where you're going to be. But if you want to move up, you got to fill that bathtub up so you can rise to the top. And that is how you're going to do it. Okay, so do not fret if you are drowning right now in burnout and overwhelm, okay? Just don't. Recognize what I've just said. Identify what your drain is. Where is your drain? And then identify what needs to be in that bathtub. What will fuel you? What will bring energy to you? What will be lifting your spirits up, lifting your body up? Like what will make things better for you? And once you have that, you can then figure out, where am I at from where I need to go to where I'm at right now? Okay. That gap in between, that's where you need to get the skills. That's where you need to get skills for time management. Maybe you need to have somebody helping you with your goal setting for 2026. Maybe you need somebody that helps you heal some of the abandonment wounds that you may have, things that are triggering to you. Maybe you need somebody that can help you figure out how to be more organized in your home so you don't lose all that energy trying to find things. Maybe you need a life coach that can help you clean up and get you set up for 2026. Okay. Of course, the Freedom Mentorship, I would like to work with online entrepreneurs, but I am also available for life coaching if that is something that you're interested in. Um, that is different packages. So reach out to me, maybe have a one-on-one discovery call so we can talk about it. What package will actually fit best for you? Because that is what I do, right? I help people to realign their lives, figure out again what their steps are. See, I don't want you to take just my steps. I don't want you to just say, hey, oh, I like her life. I love her life. I'm going to do her life. I'm not asking you to do my life. Okay. My life is not for everyone. I'm not going to lie, right? I mean, my life is like running all over the place, doing all kinds of stuff. And I love it that way. You may not. You may want more peace in your life and not all this stuff, all this travel. I'm not asking you to be like me and be here in a popularity contest. What I want you to do is I want you to figure out what do you need, because that is what's really important. When the end of your life comes, what would you have considered as an amazing life? Who would you want to have in your life? This is what I'm here to help you find, okay, as your coach, as your mentor, as your life coach. This is what I am here to help you discover for yourself, not about what I like or what I want, or, you don't have, this is not a popularity contest. Anyway, okay, I hope this was making sense. So do not worry when you're burned out and overwhelmed. There's always a way out. There's always a way how you can streamline, how you can plug that drain, how you can lift up that water level so you can be all the way on the top. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and have a good night. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are.